Let's clear something up. Making a fortune from a mobile app isn't just luck. It's the result of relentless engineering, sharp vision, and a willingness to solve real problems in a way nobody else dared. Behind every so-called overnight success is a story of late nights, tough decisions, and a team that refuses to settle for average. In 2014, Facebook stunned the world by paying a jaw-dropping £19 billion for WhatsApp. That's not just a big number, it's a record-shattering sum for a messaging app that, at the time, didn't even run ads or charge most users a penny. And get this, WhatsApp had just 55 employees. That's fewer people than you'll find in most coffee shops on a Monday morning. This wasn't a fluke or a lucky break. It was the result of laser-focused execution and a product that people truly loved. WhatsApp's journey was a masterclass in building something so essential, so deeply woven into daily life, that even the biggest tech giants couldn't afford to ignore it. When you create something indispensable, the world takes notice. Founders Jan Koum and Brian Acton didn't just stumble into riches. They built value from the ground up, rewriting the rules of what a small team could achieve. Their story is proof that you don't need a massive workforce to make a massive impact. It's the ultimate David versus Goliath tale, except this time David's slingshot was clever code, relentless focus, and a refusal to compromise on user experience. Every line of code was a stone aimed at the giants of Silicon Valley. The WhatsApp deal proved that a small, determined team can outpace entire industries. When you're nimble, you can move faster, adapt quicker, and innovate in ways that big companies simply can't. In the world of tech, the underdog with a sharp idea and relentless focus can challenge the giants and sometimes even beat them at their own game. It's about having the courage to think differently and the discipline to execute flawlessly. The secret: precision, timing, and a plan for the finish line from day one. Every decision, every feature, every update was part of a bigger strategy to build something lasting. The biggest exits aren't about luck, they're about strategy. It's knowing when to push forward, when to pivot, and when to cash in. It's about reading the market, anticipating trends, and always staying one step ahead. Building with an exit in mind isn't just about chasing the thrill of the drive. It's about steering your company with purpose, making every move count, and never losing sight of your ultimate destination. Today we'll look under the bonnet and see how one clever chap pulled off his own app exit. We'll break down the steps, the mindset, and the strategies that separate the dreamers from the doers. Forget luck. This is about building, tuning, and racing to the perfect finish. So buckle up, because we're about to dive into the mechanics of a truly legendary app exit. Let's get started. Meet Alex, not a Silicon Valley prodigy, just a regular guy with a knack for tinkering. He's the kind of person you might pass on the street without a second thought, but behind closed doors, he's always curious, always looking for ways to make life a little easier. Alex never dreamed of being a tech mogul. He just liked solving problems, especially the ones that bugged him day after day. His garage was a spare room, cluttered with screens and coffee cups. It wasn't glamorous, just a cramped space filled with the hum of computers and the smell of stale coffee. But for Alex, it was a workshop, a place where ideas could take shape no matter how small or scrappy. Juggling club emails and chaotic group chats, Alex thought, there must be a better way. Every week he'd miss an update or lose track of a poll buried in endless notifications. The constant digital noise made it nearly impossible to stay connected with his football team and friends. That frustration sparked ConnectSphere, a simple tool for small communities to connect. Alex started sketching ideas on sticky notes, mapping out what a truly useful app would look like. He wanted something that cut through the clutter, something that brought people together without overwhelming them. He didn't set out to get rich, he just wanted to fix his own problem. For Alex, it was never about chasing the next big thing or impressing investors. It was about making life simpler for himself and his friends. Nights and weekends he taught himself to code, building a digital notice board for his football team. He watched endless tutorials, made plenty of mistakes, and learned by doing one late night at a time. The first version was rough, but it worked. Events, polls, focused chats, no noise. It wasn't pretty, but it did exactly what Alex and his friends needed. For the first time, their group felt organized and connected. He shared it with his mates, and they loved it. Suddenly, group plans were easier, and everyone was on the same page. Word spread quickly, friends told friends, and soon more teams wanted in. Suddenly, Alex wasn't just tinkering. He'd built something people actually wanted. The feeling was new and a little overwhelming, but it was also exciting. For the first time, his late-night project was making a real difference. ConnectSphere was born from passion, not profit. Every update, every tweak was driven by feedback from real people, not business plans or market trends. It was a solution, not a startup pitch. Alex cared more about helping his community than chasing headlines or funding rounds. And that's why it caught on. People could sense the authenticity, and they trusted it because it was built for them, not for profit. Sometimes the best ideas start with fixing your own headaches. When you solve a real problem for yourself, chances are you're helping others too. Alex was about to find out just how far that could take him. His journey was only beginning, and ConnectSphere was ready to connect even more lives. Launching an app is like pushing a tiny car up a steep hill. You need momentum, grit, and a vision that keeps you going when the road gets tough. Every founder knows that first push is the hardest, and for Alex it was no different. He poured his energy into every detail, determined to see his idea take off, even when it felt like the world was watching from the sidelines. Alex's first users were his own clubs, the people he trusted most. They became his earliest supporters, testing every feature, giving honest feedback, and spreading the word. Soon, whispers turned into conversations. You've got to try this app. It was a grassroots movement, powered by real connections. There were no flashy ads or big marketing budgets, just genuine enthusiasm. ConnectSphere grew from a handful of users to hundreds, then thousands, as excitement rippled through communities. People loved how it brought them together. Alex reached out to online communities, not with a sales pitch, but with a story. He shared his journey, the problem he wanted to solve, and invited others to join in. It wasn't about selling, it was about building something meaningful together. People responded to authenticity, not marketing. They saw Alex's passion and believed in his mission. That trust became the foundation for ConnectSphere's growth. Growth accelerated. Suddenly, big tech took notice. The app's momentum was impossible to ignore, and the buzz reached far beyond Alex's circle. When a small app starts winning local races, the giants send scouts. They want to know what's making waves and who's behind it. ConnectSphere's secret: simplicity. It did one job and did it brilliantly. No clutter, no distractions, just a tool that worked and worked well. In a world of bloated apps, it was a breath of fresh air. Users felt relieved, finally finding something that made their lives easier, not more complicated. Big companies struggled to innovate fast. Buying a nimble startup is their shortcut. They saw in ConnectSphere what they couldn't build themselves: speed, focus, and a loyal user base. Alex's passion project was now a blip on the radar of industry titans. What started as a side project was now a serious contender in the tech world. The underdog was suddenly a contender. The team felt the shift: excitement, nerves, and the thrill of possibility, all because he solved a real problem and kept it simple. Sometimes the best solutions are the ones that don't try to do everything, but do one thing perfectly. Sometimes the fastest car is the one built in a shed. Innovation doesn't always come from the biggest labs. It often starts in humble places with big dreams. And now the race was on. The world was watching, and ConnectSphere was ready to take its shot at the big leagues. What's an exit strategy? In startups, it's your plan to turn sweat and code into a payday. Most dream of an acquisition when a big company buys you out, like Facebook did with WhatsApp. IPOs are rare. For most, a buyout is the finish line. Smart founders plan their exit from day one. Alex built ConnectSphere to be easy to integrate, targeting a user base big companies struggled to serve. He wasn't just building an app, he was crafting an asset someone else would want. Every decision, features, markets, even code, was shaped by this goal. Without an exit plan, you're just driving aimlessly. With one, you're racing toward a destination. That's what separates hobbyists from entrepreneurs. Alex was in it for the long game. So, how does a sale actually happen? One day, an email lands, quick chat? For Alex, it was Megacorp, a social media giant. First, informal chats to gauge vision and fit, then due diligence. Lawyers and engineers comb through everything: code, finances, user data. It's intense but necessary. Negotiations follow: price, terms, team retention, payment structure. The first offer is just the start. It's a dance. Key issues: will Alex stay on? What happens to his team? Is it cash, stock, or both? If both sides agree, they sign a term sheet. a blueprint for the final deal. Lawyers draft the purchase agreement. It's a long, winding road, but this is how a passion project becomes a multi-million-pound exit. The process is grueling, but the reward is real. For Alex, the finish line was in sight. The stakes had never been higher. Selling your company isn't just a business deal, it's emotional. For Alex, ConnectSphere was his baby, built with years of passion and sacrifice. The offer from Megacorp was life-changing, but letting go was tough. He worried. Would they keep it simple? Would his team be safe? The decision was agonizing, logic versus loyalty. Ultimately, he had to weigh his dream against reality. Competing with giants alone, or securing his future and his team's. Selling a startup is as personal as it is financial. For Alex, it was the hardest and most important choice he'd ever make. After sleepless nights, Alex chose to sell. Megacorp's offer included keeping his team and letting him guide the transition. The final paperwork was a blur, hundreds of pages, endless signatures. When the money landed, it felt surreal. More relief than celebration. His first move, paying off his parents' mortgage, then treating his team to a lavish dinner. Joining Megacorp was a culture shock, slower pace, more meetings, less control, but it confirmed he'd made the right call. Selling gave ConnectSphere the reach to impact millions. It was the validation of years of hard work. The sale wasn't the end, just the checkered flag on one race. Now Alex had the freedom to choose his next adventure. And the story was far from over. Dreaming of your own big exit? Here's what matters. First, build something people love. Solve a real problem. Engagement is your horsepower. Second, run your startup like a business from day one. Keep records clean, code tidy, contracts clear. When buyers come knocking, a neat ship gets a better offer. Third, know your ideal buyer early. Shape your app to fit their needs. Strategic thinking makes you more attractive when it's time to sell. Finally, get expert help. Lawyers and advisors are worth every penny. Don't try to negotiate alone. This isn't a DIY job. The right team protects your interests and maximizes your deal. Remember, passion, preparation, and planning win the race. Build for users, keep it clean, think ahead, and get help. That's how you turn a side project into a life-changing exit. The road is tough, but the rewards are real. Ready to start your own race. That's the journey from spare room idea to life-changing exit. Alex's story proves it's not just about ideas, but relentless execution and smart planning. With the right focus, even a solo founder can build something giants will pay for. These aren't just business stories, they're modern adventures. For every WhatsApp or ConnectSphere, thousands more are racing toward their own finish lines. Some will win big, others will learn, but all shape the world of innovation. After his exit, Alex took time off, restored a classic car, and started dreaming again. The itch to build never goes away. For true builders, the thrill is in the challenge, not just the payday. These are the stories we love. Real journeys of people chasing their own dreams. If you enjoyed this, stick around. There are more tales from the front lines of innovation coming. Subscribe and maybe you'll find the spark for your own grand tour. The next story could be yours.